All right. What's up, Jan?
Howdy doodly. Start over. What's up?
you haven't been on here in a hot minute, and we missed you on the Best of 2017 episode. I'll ask you two quick questions. What was your favorite movie of 2017?
My favorite movie? Oof.
Yeah. Jan, it's a quick question.
What came out?
Answer quick.
I like John Wick too.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. What was your favorite game?
I don't know if I
played.
Other than Fortnite, I don't think I played anything that came out in 2017.
No, I was thinking it was what if this was a while ago? This was like early December, or I was thinking who would host the 2017 or Best of 2017 episode, and I was like, if Jan did it, I don't think Jan played anything from 2017. So maybe
hey, Tim, what was your favorite book of 2017?
Hey, that's a good question.
I didn't read anything from this year either.
Can comic books count?
Why not?
God's sake, Winpool.
Oh, right. Oh, that was this year. Yeah, it already ended, didn't it?
It was last year. It was 2017.
No, I mean, Gwenpool's over. It had a 1 year lifespan.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It was really good too.
Finish it.
That being said, apparently Marvel is getting themselves together, and a lot of the hype about Legacy being so awful was apparently mostly hype, and I'm hearing it's actually all right. So,
good. I like it when things are all right.
Yes, I like it when things are good. Anyway, we have a lot to cover today.
And we're going to do it all in the form of a rap. I'll lay the beat.
No,
Tim, go.
We are not. Don't do this. Oh, man, that was a dirty beat. That was like an old gangster rap beat. I didn't know you had that in you. Okay. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff for us to cover, and we're going to try to get it done in an hour this time. We're going to try and stop in an hour. Which, by the way,
I listened to your podcast from last week with Dallas. Tim, 3.5 hours is a long podcast.
It is.
It clocked in about 5 minutes less than the extended edition of Watchmen. I want you to keep that in mind.
Whoa. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to try to force myself to be concise this week. But in stark contrast with last week and the week before, there was a lot of news this week. It was kind of like everyone was holding back while the holidays were on, and then the dam broke. They're like, we can't wait any longer. But first thing, I'm just going to kind of go in order. I reordered these a little bit just to make it easier on me, but we're going to go to gaming news first, and the first thing I have on here is the Nintendo Switch is now the best-selling console in U.S. history. Not best, fastest.
Fastest selling? Okay. Fastest
selling. And it became Japan's fastest selling last week. So
I might have to buy one.
Yeah, I think it was in a year, first year of sales, but it hasn't even been out for an entire year, and it's already passed the others. It passed the PS4. Which
I can see why. They got Skyrim finally. So they're flying off the shelves.
I'm so sick of Skyrim, and I think lots of people are sick of Skyrim, but I'll tell you right now, lots of people are not sick of Skyrim. Skyrim is still a system seller. It's insane.
Not only are there people that haven't played and beaten it yet, but they want to play it again and are not happy with the means they currently have to play it.
Right. And this is, it's the first time a game like Skyrim has been portable. So
which I understand that. Skyrim would be great portable because it's such a
pick up and play kind of game.
Yeah. I mean, time sink.
Yeah, and I can't think of Skyrim is very much a PC kind of game where it's you got your quick saves and it's all right, I'll just load in back here. That's perfect for a mobile game. That it's a great idea. I am sick of Skyrim, but I understand why it's been such a huge hit on the Switch.
I wonder if it's been optimized at all. I played on the PC, so my loading times were 2 or 3 seconds. I normally didn't have time to read the text. And then I saw someone play it on the Xbox 360. And we sat on a loading screen for 2 minutes while they were entering a dungeon. And I was like, this isn't right.
Well, I've heard that it is essentially a straight port of the 360 version. So I wouldn't be expecting very quick load times. I'd expect just about the exact same deal as the 360. Like people comparing assets, like it's the same assets from the 360 version. So it's probably. Then again, I mean, it was really popular on the 360, so it seems to be good enough for most people. It's just, man, I'm never getting it. I'm so tired of it, man. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of a big deal, especially since Nintendo, like, I'm gonna post a picture here for the people watching on YouTube. Thank you for your little sound effect. That's a nice little place for me to place it, because sometimes I don't know. I appreciate that, but it's like it's a screenshot of all of these articles from like last year and the year before and the year before, where people were saying Nintendo needs to stop making consoles, or Nintendo needs to get out of the console market, or they're going to go bankrupt, or they need to just focus on making games only, or they need to go completely mobile. And then a screenshot of the article of that day, where it was like, Nintendo Switch, the fastest selling console of all time. It was like, yeah, it's always it's a dangerous game to doubt Nintendo, because they're very unpredictable, but they often will pull it off, whatever stupid, ridiculous thing they're doing. Okay, moving on from that, because we gotta move on. This is kind of a small thing. But I've removed myself from this because I just don't care anymore. But Call of Duty community is in a confusing place, because Call of Duty World War II has gone weeks without updates to the gameplay issues. And it's still a lot of the issues that they had on launch day, like connectivity issues, spawn issues, issues with games just being dropped, really long loading times. It keeps getting these little updates, like their title updates or whatever, but they all just have to do with the microtransactions. Like, they aren't updating anything to do with what's not working. And it's on all platforms. It's not, just the Xbox is doing this or just the PC is doing this. It's all of them are having these same issues. And what's weird about this is, see, all of the Call of Duty games, I think since Ghosts, I think this started with Ghosts. It might have been that I wasn't as involved in like the Reddit community and stuff like that prior to Ghosts, but they've always had a community manager that goes onto Reddit, gives people patch notes, tells them what's going on, does AMAs, response to questions and stuff like that. They don't have that. Social media
manager.
Yes.
Kind of.
They don't have that this year. Like, they don't have that with World War II. Michael Condrey, who's like the lead designer at Sledgehammer Games, he's not the community manager. Every once in a while, he'll post something on Twitter, but normally it's him just joking around, or he's just reposting positive things people are saying and just ignoring the negative. There was one thing he said a couple weeks ago where he was like, people were exaggerating the spawn issues. And of course, in classic pride and accomplishment fashion, a bunch of videos came out where there's just montages of different people's terrible spawns that they had submitted, and it was like, it's pretty common. But yeah, they don't have anyone talking to people. Like, no one's responding to questions. No one's saying, hey, we know this is an issue. We're figuring out how to fix it right now. There's nothing. It's crickets. So as a result, a lot of the like Call of Duty focused YouTubers like Prestigious Key and The Exclusive Ace, they're like starting to go to different games where they're like, we've made our living covering Call of Duty, but now we're giving nothing to make a video on. It's like, I think The Exclusive Ace was saying, like, I could make another video about these same issues we've been having, but I've already made a video like 3 weeks ago and nothing has changed, so I've got nothing to talk about. And he's like not interested in playing the game anymore because it's like no one's listening, and he doesn't know if it's going to get better, so he's not really motivated to keep playing for when it gets better. So yeah, I don't know the motivation there. I don't know why they're keeping people in the dark. Maybe it's just they really don't know how to fix the issue, so they're just trying to pretend like it isn't an issue until they can figure it out. But unless you fix that quick, you're kind of digging a bigger hole for yourself.
Just give it a few more months before the next Call of Duty comes out.
Hey, yeah, maybe that'll be the patch. Is just Black Ops 4, guys. But guys, Black Ops 4.
Honestly, I'd be pretty hyped for Black Ops 4.
No, yeah, especially if it's a continuation of that style and that kind of universe.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. I loved Black Ops 3.
Even if we just got another soundtrack from that same composer, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to get that soundtrack. Okay, that's all Call of Duty news. Now we're going to go on to PUBG news, which, man, this is happening every week. But I think it's Bluehole is the developer.
That sounds right.
I put on the article PUBG developer. I don't know why I didn't put the actual name. But they're saying they want to put PUBG on all platforms. It used to be it was going to be an Xbox console exclusive. This is when they didn't have any faith in consoles, and they were just like, nah, it's a PC game. Then it was like, okay, maybe we'll put it on the Xbox. Then it was a disaster on the Xbox. However, it sold really well. So they were like, hey, we'll put it on all platforms. And I'm telling you right now, if they intend to put this on the Switch, they're going to have to get the guys that ported Skyrim, the guys that ported Rocket League, and the guys that ported Doom and combine all of their forces to make sure it's not significantly...
It even runs.
Yeah, to make sure it's not significantly worse than the Xbox One version, which is still having a lot of issues. Like, if you aren't playing on the Xbox One X, that game is like 20 FPS on like below lowest settings. So, better bring out the big guns for that porting job.
I don't see it working out well, unless it turns out they've got a Switch programming savant on their team.
Yeah, and I think if they do it on the, maybe what they could do was come out with a smaller map and just have that map on the Switch version, because they're adding more maps. So you could do like a PUBG mobile and it wouldn't be crossplay, but I could still see that doing well.
They could also have like less people, because 100 people is a lot.
Yeah, do a smaller map and do 50 people, and it'll be, PUBG mobile, or they
PUBG
could come
Lite.
Yeah, they could come up with some kind of pun where it's like I don't know. So it was like PUBG Mobile Ops or something like that. Something like what Metal Gear Solid used to do. They would always come up with some kind of pun.
Or what was that like Marine game that had a PSP game? Navy SEALs or something?
SOCOM?
Yeah, they did that too.
Yeah. Yeah, just do it something like that. But like a straight port, if it's the same game, that's not gonna do well. Okay.
Speaking of PUBG.
Yeah, well, it's going to be speaking of PUBG for a while, but they had an ad. There was an ad for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on the Xbox, and they ran it, and it turned out that they had just straight up plagiarized a fan art that someone had posted on Reddit. It's the same image. Basically, like they changed the Xbox model, and I'll post both images on the YouTube version.
The angle of the picture.
Yeah, and like the whole idea where it's like that bit of grass on top of the console, and there's a guy walking through the grass. It's the same thing. I'm not sure where this is going, and I'm not sure if you can get in trouble for taking someone's fan thing and like using it as an ad. I don't know if that's necessarily illegal, but
I do not know copyright laws very well.
I mean, well, most of them are very confusing,
dumb,
and kind of all over the place. And yes, dumb. But yeah, that's still pretty hilarious. And I think it's poetic just because the PUBG developer is accusing everyone of ripping off his idea. And like wanting to get like stricter laws put in so no one can benefit off of his idea, which is funny because Paladins, which was already accused, this is the next story, already accused of being a ripoff of Overwatch, which it's not, but they're adding a Battlegrounds Battle Royale mode, and it looks, my gosh, it looks identical. It actually looks more like Fortnite than PUBG, which, of course, Fortnite's not going to do a thing about it. They're just going to be like, hey, we're not going to get mad. We basically did the same thing. But the PUBG developer said he wanted people to add their own spin on it. Fortnite did. And this is going to be a hero shooter version of PUBG, which I think is
could be fun.
interesting. Yeah, especially in squads. I think if you're just going solo, if it's like solo queue or whatever, I could see that being really unbalanced. Like some characters are just going to be better than others solo, but if it's a squad system, yeah, that could be pretty sweet. So I'm actually interested in that. Paladins is also free. I think PUBG is the only Battlegrounds game or Battle Royale game that isn't free. So I guess that's reason to sweat.
Would H1Z1 count as something like that?
Yeah, it would. And it's not
Which
free.
came out before
correct?
PUBG.
Yeah, a good bit before PUBG.
I'm not sure. It's a mod to Arma 2. I don't know if they charge
I think there was an official released version of H1Z1,
then
and
yes,
that one does cost
I'm
money.
pretty
So
sure
yeah,
it's not free.
yeah, okay. Well, anyway, that's another free way to play that kind of game, which I think is great. Even though Paladins is basically turned into full-on pay-to-win, unfortunately. Anyway, enough about PUBG. Thank goodness.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about some quick stories. A short one real quick. Monster Hunter World is coming to PC this fall. They gave a more specific release date. I can't remember why this one was coming out so much later. I think it may have to do with them wanting to delay the mod scene from happening. Just because you release a game on console and it has... In a series like Monster Hunter, and they're not going to have all of the monsters in the game, like from the whole franchise, you know, they're not going to have this fan favorite monster or this fan favorite monster. They're going to try to get some, but they're not going to have all of them. So they want people to be able to enjoy that, and then it's going to come out in PC, and then mods are going to add every single monster and every single map that everyone wants. So that could be a motivation. I think that's a fine reason to do it, just because it's like, I want to have my time in the sun before the modders make this a significantly better game. But yeah, that's now more official than it was before. Whereas before they were like, it's come to PC eventually.
We'll get around to it.
It'll happen, believe me. But okay, next gaming story. Platinum Games, which is one of my favorite developers, is wanting to move on to self-publishing their games, and they're
the ones that made Bayonetta.
Yeah, they made Bayonetta, Wonderful 101, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think Out of the Shadows it was called.
Which I still need to play.
They did Transformers.
Want to play that sometime?
Huh?
You want to play TMNT sometime?
Yeah, dude, we should. Like, that game's criticism stemmed from the fact that it's terrible solo. Like, it's made to be 4-player co-op. They made Transformers Devastation. They made the Legend of Korra game. They made a lot of licensed games. They made Nier Automata, which was kind of licensed. Like, that wasn't their franchise. They were just brought on to make a sequel. Anyway, I think they're kind of tired of doing that. They did that for a while, and I think they were kind of like making some quick money from those easy sells. But now they want to self-publish. And another reason that I think... Two big reasons that I think motivate this is that after Bayonetta 1, Sega didn't want to make a Bayonetta 2, and they couldn't get anyone else to want to make a Bayonetta 2 for like 2 years, so they had to cancel it. Then Nintendo was like, we'll make it for you, but you gotta give us the rights.
Sugar Daddy Nintendo came by.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what's this? You living in the gutter? How about I publish that game you want to be published? It's gotta be an exclusive, though. So, Nintendo's also publishing Bayonetta 3, because they kind of own it at this point. And then the other big reason being Scalebound. The only reason Scalebound couldn't come out was because Microsoft pulled the rug out from under them and said, you can't make this anymore. Even though they...
Which I was disappointed to hear.
Yeah, the trailers looked so cool. And the concept, like they were saying it was like Dragon Combat done right. And I'm like, done right? We've been doing it wrong this whole time? I can't wait to see the correct way.
What games have good dragon combat?
None of them.
Other than Aragon.
There was Lair, which is a PS3 launch game that was made by the guys that did Rogue Squadron, and it was fine, save for the mandatory motion controls. So,
back when that was being pushed real hard.
Yeah, the launch of the PS3 and the Wii was when everything had forced motion controls. But yeah, that got doomed because of a publisher. Like, if Microsoft hadn't said no then the game would have come out and they would have had potentially another hit on their hands. So I think it's pretty obvious there's a lot of motivation for them to want to go completely independent, and that was kind of what they wanted to do from the beginning. It was just they were a little too small. But yeah, I think they're getting there. And they said they have 2 new IP they're looking at, like haven't been made before. Unfortunately, this kind of dashes hopes that that they would come back to make an Okami or Beautiful Joe sequel, because they were the original developers who did this for Capcom, because this would mean they're also not going to work with Capcom. They want to be independent.
I would literally kill for a Beautiful Joe sequel.
I would too, dude, with like modern graphics. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm getting
1080p.
lost. Oh yeah, 1080p, 60 FPS, Beautiful Joe with like modern cell shading. I gotta stop. We gotta move on. We're gonna get stuck. But okay, so this is another kind of small thing, but it's weird. Disney updated the original Battlefront 2, like from 2005.
They added microtransactions and loot boxes.
Oh my gosh, no, that would have been the worst.
I'm kidding. That's not true, people.
No, it's not true, but that would have been hilarious. Like, yeah, well, you can't have this one either. But
the internet would have broke.
Yeah, more than it had already when EA tried to talk about Pride and Accomplishment. But yeah, it was Disney that did it. It wasn't EA that came out with this update. Which tells me Disney has people on their payroll who can make games that aren't EA. So I don't know. Maybe this is a sign. I'm kind
of surprised they still had like the source code. Like, this is a pretty old game.
Yeah,
was someone like going through hard drives and was like, "What's this?
Well,
Battlefront 2? I thought that was over at the EA department."
Remember that CD Projekt Red. They or not. It's not Red. I think it's CD Projekt, some other color, that is the one that runs Good Old Games, where they basically take old games that aren't supported anymore, update them to work for new hardware. They did this with Battlefront 2 this year, and people were like, and they added crossplay between Steam and Good Old Games. So,
but good on you, Good Old Games.
Yeah, but then Disney came in, added another patch. They fixed some bugs. They improved the lobby functionality, like improved the netcode and stuff. And it's like, what? Disney had no reason to do that. Like, they had no motivation to do it. So I guess maybe they're trying to like say, hey, you know what? We want to have good games. Maybe this is a way to
save some face.
Yeah, save some face, or maybe even put EA on notice a little bit. Although that might be wishful thinking from me. But okay, so that's the end of that. Raiders of the Broken Planet, which was a game I
think our podcast talks more about Raiders of the Broken Planet than literally any other podcast.
But it stopped for a little bit, and the explanation is that Raiders of the Broken Planet, or Mercury Steam, the developer, started just wanting to be EA, I guess, but they don't have the player base or like the recognition to try and be EA and it not ruin them. So if you haven't heard before, Raiders of the Broken Planet is it's a third-person hero shooter Destiny kind of game that has like a free demo that anyone can try. It's like they're these kind of raid missions, but anyway, I really liked it. A lot of my friends liked it, and it was good and weird. A lot of the stuff was strange and kind of unique. And I was recommending it to a lot of people because, like, for $40 used to be, they had a founder's pack that was $40. It could get you the entire like season pass, which includes 4 campaigns, which include 4 raids each, which is already way more content than Destiny has ever had. But and it was going to give you a bunch of characters as they came out. Well, then we found out that only counted for like 3 new characters, and then they started coming out with more characters, and the characters were gradually more and more overpriced to the point where it was like you would have to have spent like 300 hours in game to be able to afford one of the new characters with like the in-game currency. And the problem is that game's reward system, at the end of a mission, the 4 people pick between the 4 or 3 rewards given, depending on if you get a weapon blueprint. But they'll give you like, here's your character points, your faction points, your gold points, and they're all used for different things. this was making it to where everyone was trying to get gold, because to get the new characters, you had to use gold. So as a result, everyone was getting less gold because it splits the rewards between however many people go for that one reward. So it was making it take even longer to get those characters because they were what everyone wanted, not just some extra character or faction points. So the game was basically just dead to me. We dropped it for like a month because it was like, this is just, I don't feel like I'm working towards anything. I feel like I'm throwing time into the void and I'm just repeating the same missions. So me and David were like, we just won't play it until the next story expansion comes out. We'll play the story expansion once, then, we'll be done until the next story expansion. Because we had already got the Founders Pack, so, we might as well see the story out to the end. But after that, that was it. Well, Mercury Steam has finally announced that they're going to be completely overhauling the reward system based entirely on fan feedback, which is good, and that's a good sign that they can still do that. They seem to be small enough to where they don't have to be stubborn and anti-consumer like Bungie is with Destiny 2 right now. So, that's something to look forward to. It's not gonna come out until I think mid-January when they're finally gonna
That's
release.
not too far off.
Yeah, they're gonna release the next story expansion and completely rework the whole reward and progression system. So, hopefully it's good. Maybe it won't be awful. I hope it won't be awful. But, yeah. Okay, so now on to news that I don't know how I feel about. It's God of War after God of War 4, which, it's a reboot, and it's nothing like the previous games, which is why I'm not interested in it. But they switched to Norse mythology, whereas the older games
they
were
ran
Greek
out
mythology.
of gods to kill.
To be fair, that was the coolest reason. Like, before we knew that it was just a Last of Us mod, when we thought that it was actually going to be another God of War, and they're like, now he's going to kill all the Norse gods, and I'm like, oh my god, he's hopping dimensions to kill all these poor guys. But,
He must really hate gods.
yeah, no, he does. Kratos wants to kill every single god. But, it was like, we're gonna go to Norse mythology, and that'll give us new settings, new gods, like, new, like weapons and like inspirations for locations and stuff, and that was really exciting. Then we saw what it turned into, and I'm not as excited anymore. But they said for future sequels, he's not going to stay in the Norse mythology. He'll be moving to Egyptian mythology and even then Mayan mythology. And I'm just wondering, who hurt Kratos this bad. But I'm also
Maybe he
wondering,
just enjoys it.
Yeah, maybe he just likes what he does.
He is a god of war. Like, that's kind of his shtick to kill
That's
things.
true, yeah, to wage war. I can't hold it against him. He's doing what he loves. But I'm wondering if they're going to keep this gameplay style that's really unpopular with anyone who actually cares about God of War right now. Because the only people excited for God of War are people who've never played God of War and never would play God of War. It looks like a really slowed down, very narrow, very cutscene heavy kind of walking simulator, like The Last of Us, but without survival elements. So it's not even difficult, but it's nothing like the original. The original was kind of like Devil May Cry, but it was a power trip. Like, they weren't difficult. It was like Devil May Cry minus the difficulty, so it was like, just have fun destroying everything. So that was the appeal of it. So, I could be interested in this, we're going to switch settings and mythologies each time if it was the kind of game I actually cared about. But, I guess I'll be waiting until further confirmation for that. Now on news that I'm actually excited about.
Mad Catz is back, baby.
Yeah. So, okay, Mad Catz had this reputation for making terrible, the controller you give to your younger brother or younger sister.
With the, turbo button.
Yeah, they have a turbo button that doesn't really work. They have a slow-mo button, which consists of rapidly pause and unpause. That was the slow-mo button. And they had these really gaudy, big grips on it. And, they would rearrange the buttons a little bit for no reason at all.
But they were cheaper.
They were cheaper, so they were kind
That's
of like...
That's why everyone had one.
Yeah. And then they went bankrupt 9 months ago. And I think the reason they went bankrupt was that people just stopped buying their controllers, like their console controllers, because their reputation caught up with them, and it was like, yeah, it's cheap, but it's crap. Well, that wasn't the only thing they did. They also made really good PC accessories, and they made arguably the best, like, arcade sticks, like the best fighting game stuff. And that was kind of like an unfortunate casualty of most of their business being built on kind of third-party console controllers. Well, they're back now, and they haven't shown any fighting game stuff, but they have shown some really cool PC stuff. Specifically, they made the Rat mouse, which it looked like it was made of like, I was trying to remember what this aesthetic is referred to. It's like, it's not steampunk, it's some other kind of punk, but it's like, it looks like everything's made of junk and kind of like improperly put together.
It might be junk punk.
Junk punk.
I could see that being it.
Yeah. Well, I always thought they looked really cool. I didn't think they looked comfortable until I held one. And it's like, no, it's comfortable and it looks ridiculous.
I've never actually tried holding one. I think they look awesome, but
yeah.
I'd never known anyone that had one for me to try out.
I knew 2 people that had one. Both of them liked them, but this was a few years ago. Anyway, it runs off of a wireless power source. And I think the way they said it works is you have a surface that powers it that is also like the mouse pad. So it's like it's wireless charging on like the what's that called? Samsung has that, Apple has it now, where you like
Qi charging.
What was it?
QI. I think it's pronounced Qi. Might be
Qi charging.
Qi.
Yeah, something like that. But you put the mouse on the top and it powers it that way, so you don't have to have batteries. And then optionally, it comes with a USB cable. But
that seems kind of excessive, though. Like, a mouse battery lasts a good long while.
Yeah, but Jan, this is cool.
It's okay. I'll concede that it is definitely cool. That was, if not a little over-engineered.
Sure, but like that was one of the things that Mad Catz was actually good at. Like, they could actually be cool. Some of it was cheesy cool, but it was still cool. Mm-hmm. And their like return trailer is so hype. I'll put a link to it in the description. But it was like,
have to watch it.
Yeah, they have like the busted remains of old Mad Catz, the old Mad Catz like rat mouse, and it's like reassembling, and it's like, we get knocked down and we get back up. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting excited for a controller commercial. But yeah, they haven't shown fighting game stuff yet. I'm holding out for that just because there's no way they aren't bringing that back, because that was extremely popular. Mm-hmm. And in their place, Razer hasn't really done anything impressive. It was like Razer was going to be the Mad Catz that was good. For fight sticks, not so much. It's kind of just, we still just have Hori. But yeah, that's all we got to say about that, about Mad Catz. We're halfway through.
Good. Glad they're back.
Oh my gosh, we got to keep going. This will be a quick thing. This
Pink Darth Vader modded into Battlefront 2. It's a joke on them saying no one would want to play a pink Darth Vader in
because it would break canon. But now it's in there, boys. Just to spite EA.
I don't want it to break canon when Darth Vader is killing Yoda on Hoth.
Right. But now that it's modded into the game, I think everyone should use that just to spite EA. Anyone who has the PC version, use that exclusively. Well, I guess first you have to unlock Darth Vader. Hey, maybe mod it to just have Darth Vader unlocked. Who cares about cheating? It's a stupid EA game. Okay.
It's a neat idea.
Yeah. Next story. Miiverse. We were talking about this in our Smash Brothers tournament video that went up last week. It was, we loaded the Miiverse stage, and it was sad because it was empty, and you didn't get to see all the old Miiverse posts. And I'm going to tell you right now, Miiverse was Memeverse. And it was right at the height of, like, wholesome memes. So there's, like, a lot of actually funny, wholesome posting on Miiverse, as well as, like, a lot of things of like kids were posting on Miiverse and saying, my parents are fighting right now, but Miiverse lets me go on. Anyway, that's been put into a fan-made archive, so it's not gone forever, whereas Nintendo killed it, I think, earlier this year.
Saving art. They're like those people in World War II that would hide the art from Nazis.
Yeah, Monuments Men. That was actually
That
a pretty
one's
good movie. I like
Brad
that movie.
Pitt, I think.
George Clooney and
Oh,
oh shoot, there was a lot of stars in it. Bill Murray was in it. It maybe had Brad Pitt. I think it had Matt Damon. Anyway,
they're pretty much interchangeable. No,
gosh.
they're not.
But yeah.
Nexon blames PUBG for lawbreakers selling poorly.
Yeah,
Trying to
okay.
railroad us a little bit.
So Nexon was the publisher of Lawbreakers. They're also the publisher of a bunch of... They're a South Korean publisher. They do a lot of free-to-play games. But they completely they've written off Lawbreakers off of their financial report. Like, they lost $36 million last year, and they didn't go into details, but they said Lawbreakers was responsible for most of it.
Wow.
But they're not blaming any of the actual reasons Lawbreakers did poorly. They're saying it was just because of PUBG, which I'm pretty sure Lawbreakers failed before PUBG was a huge mainstream success. So
I think you're right.
come on, Nexon, you guys got to look inward. The answer lies within you.
You must find a way.
Must find a way. Oh gosh. Okay. Memes will date the podcast, but they are good
As
memes.
always.
Also, that's the meme of 2018 already.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next.
Something's going to have to be good to beat that.
Yeah.
Next, Xbox Live Games with Gold. We should probably start doing the PlayStation 1 stuff too, just to be inclusive. But
right. Sorry, I keep forgetting that that's a thing. We'll do it next time.
We got Tomb Raider Underworld, which
that's
I don't
360
think
game.
I've ever actually played a Tomb Raider game, now that I think about it.
For real? Have you played the reboot?
No.
Pretty sure the reboot was on Games with Gold too.
Yeah, I've got it. I just haven't played it. It's in my stack of games Jan won't play until 6 years later.
It's over there with Deus Ex. Interestingly, both IDOS games, poor old IDOS. Jan buys their games, he just don't play them.
I like them, I just don't use them.
Okay.
And then The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 3.
Yeah, it's actually premiering as a game with gold.
Oh,
it's not.
I did not know that.
Like, it is coming out on Games with Gold, so that's kind of interesting.
Does that just mean it's a free game, or is it going to be paid
It's temporary.
later?
Yeah, it'll be pay later. Like, it's this month it is free, but it's premiering free, and then after that it's going to cost everyone money, which tells you Xbox is being good to those guys. Microsoft paying their way, making them nice and comfy. Okay, so and then later this month we're going to have Army of Two added. And
Which
Zombie.
we'll probably play that at some time.
Yeah, we'll play it, but we'll have to play it split screen, which goes into another thing to do with Zombie, which is a port of Zombie U, only with all the online functionality removed. So Army of Two, its servers have been down for a while, so you can only play it split screen, despite it being a co-op game, which would really benefit from some online servers. However, it's an EA game, so you can't expect any help from them.
So forget about it.
And with Zombie, the online functionality was removed for the port, which didn't make any sense to me because I thought that was one of the biggest appeals of Zombie U, where it was like, it was a kind of a Dark Souls system where you could leave hints for people online, but if you died and became zombified, someone else could run into you in their game, and you would be kind of a boss zombie, but you would have your backpack of the stuff that you had. So killing that zombie got you a bunch of supplies that were in its backpack.
Which is a really cool idea.
Yeah, it was super cool. I loved that. But it's just not in Zombie, which everyone was like, well, not everyone. The people that cared about Zombie U were like, if this got re-released on the PS4 and Xbox One, you could add so much stuff, more robust online features, or you could add some multiplayer. And they actually removed one of the multiplayer modes. They took a bunch of stuff out. That being said, I think the basic campaign was pretty fun. It actually is a really scary game. It's true horror with some Dark Souls elements. So, give it a shot if you care.
It's free. If you have
it's
Xbox
free. Why
Live
not?
Gold.
It's complimentary with gold. Okay, done
It's
with
like
games.
a mint on your pillow.
With 20 minutes left, we're gonna go to movies and TV.
Let's run through this. Walking Dead ratings hit all-time low because no one watches it.
Yeah, well, the producer says it's not because people don't watch it, it's because people don't watch it new. So they're saying people aren't watching The Walking Dead when it airs, they're watching it on DVR, or they're watching it when the season gets added to Hulu or something. Which, Maybe that's a larger chunk than it was before, but when you look at The Walking Dead's peers, which are also airing on TV, and they're doing great, I'm not so sure that holds up. But of course, he's going to defend his show in whatever way he can think of.
Not to detract, but a friend of mine just sent me a message with a link to one of the Ugandan Knuckles videos and said, "Can you imagine being on literally any drug and being in VR chat?"
That would be pretty nuts. Also, just so everyone knows what we're talking about, look up You Do Not Know the Way to see what Ready Player One actually would be like if it were realistic. Like, if you look at the Ready Player One trailers, it's like, that is nonsense. There's not enough memes. Anyway, back to movies and TV.
All right, we gotta fly through these. We're at 40 minutes already.
Yeah.
Okay. Lauren Schmidt, writer of Daredevil and Defenders, is writing The Witcher for Netflix. So
yes,
she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's good at what she does. And they have also reiterated it's not based off of the games adaptation. It's based off of the original novels that kind of compiled a bunch of the Polish mythology that was kind of word of mouth. Basically, the novels were like freaking what Homer did for a bunch of those old myths. But yeah, that's exciting. She's a good writer. She's done good work. So only the best for The Witcher. CD Projekt Red would be proud. Okay.
Ridley
next.
Scott says Alien should be as big as Star Wars. Yeah, so should our podcast.
Oh man, we're not going to top that. We moving on.
Last Jedi passes $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah, okay, so The Last Jedi was the biggest movie of the year last year, and it was without a full month of it even being out in that year. So this controversy that people are talking about, where it's like, oh, Disney's really hurting now that we've all downvoted The Last Jedi on Rotten Tomatoes using our bots. They're not hurting,
They've
guys.
only made $1 billion.
Yeah, I think they're just shy of The Force Awakens, which The Force Awakens I could see doing better just because it was like the first return.
The new Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. I'd actually say that doing these movies like Rogue One and Solo will actually make the other like main episodes do worse than they would otherwise. But overall, you're making more money, so man, Disney don't care. They're making that bank. Okay, another Star Wars thing. Rian Johnson says that the identity of Rey's parents could change in Episode 9. So I'm not going to spoil what her parents were in Episode 8. I'll avoid that. But I'm just going to say that makes me... That pisses me off. Because I was happy with what happened. Mm-hmm. A lot of people decided, they needed something to whine about and said that they hate it.
They decided to just mess with everyone and be like, Darth Vader had another child. And that child had another child, and that's you.
Well, but like if you change it in Episode 9, see, the people who are really mad about The Last Jedi, they are the minority. Like, I've not even talked to a person to anyone in person who genuinely hated these really nitpicky things about it. A lot of people didn't like who her parents are. I thought it was great. I think stick with it because it was a cool risk. I think Star Wars could use some risks, and that was a risk that paid off. So I say stick with Episode 9. That being said, Rian Johnson is not working on Episode 9. He's now moving on to work on the next Star Wars trilogy. So I think what he's saying is it's out of his hands, which it turns out he was given a lot of control over where the canon was going to go for Episode 9. With the catch being you've got no say on where it goes after that. So I think that's an interesting and cool way of doing it. I'd really like for the parents to stay who they were, but
right.
Yeah.
Christian Bale wants to be in a Star Wars film. Man, I am okay with that. I love Christian Bale.
Christian
as an
Bale,
actor.
He's a phenomenal actor, man. And if he's in Star Wars, then Star Wars is better for it. Okay, next.
Yeah, it's like when they threw Donnie Yen in. Made me happy.
Oh, exactly.
Bray gets a sequel. Despite lack of popularity. I haven't seen it. I've heard that critics hate it and people seem to enjoy it.
Okay, so lack of popularity. I meant to change the wording of that. It's been very unpopular critically. However, and Netflix wasn't saying what the numbers were before, but the numbers have now come out, and it is their most popular film of 2017. It's the most popular, on-demand service. Straight to on-demand movie like of all time, So yeah, it's getting a sequel. But Max Landis, who wrote the original, is not going to be writing the second one. I don't know if it's because he went on a whole Twitter rant making fun of all the, or getting mad at all the critics who hated it, or if it's with all the sexual assault allegations. I don't know.
All right,
how can you
we
know
gotta
with
start
Hollywood?
flying through this stuff again.
Okay,
Slender Man
go.
got a trailer. Okay, doesn't look great.
Yeah,
Jodie
it looks
Foster says
fine.
superhero movies are ruining audiences.
Yeah, well, Jodie, what have you done since Silence of the Lambs and Contact?
Which is pretty much, both of those are superhero movies, depending on how you
Oh my
view them.
gosh! Silence of the Lambs is absolutely a superhero movie. Whoa, dude, that's weird. Shut up. Okay,
Black Mirror.
Here. Okay, I had a little clap back for Jodie Foster.
All right, be quick.
Jodie Foster once said, "Being understood is not the most important thing in life." I think that's a great quote. And Jodie, you ought to take that to heart, because just because you don't get superheroes doesn't mean they need you to get them.
Man, looking at those box office numbers, they don't need you.
No, they don't need you, Jodie. Okay,
We're
moving
throwing
on.
a little Jodie shade. All right, Black Mirror episode Infinity, the Star Trek one, might be getting a spin-off series. That seems cool. Haven't seen the episode, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch Black Mirror eventually, but that episode was really, really popular. I've, seen all kinds of stuff shared about it. So, and that's kind of interesting. Black Mirror, if you don't know, is an anthology kind of show. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone in a way. And having an entire show spin out of one of those anthology things, that's pretty impressive. That's a sign of some powerful popularity. Okay.
And some good writing. Chappelle
Yes.
came out with the new specials.
Yeah,
I've heard they're extremely funny.
Dude, they're extremely good. And I'll say the fourth one, he had this, there's 4 Netflix specials. He just came out with the last 2. And he said these are the last 2 before he does his thing and makes America wait again. But
Make America wait again.
yeah, his fourth one is the most different out of all of them. It's really low key. He's in a small little comedy club with a very small audience, and it's less a comedy special and more he's just talking to you and talking about stuff that he's been thinking about. And gosh, it's really, dude, Chappelle is a very
It's like
intelligent.
hanging out with Chappelle.
Huh?
It's like just hanging out with Chappelle.
Yeah, Chappelle is a really fascinating, intelligent, interesting person, and God, he's funny. The fourth one is still hilarious, but it's also it makes you think. It's good stuff. Dave Chappelle is basically, to be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to appreciate Dave Chappelle.
Okay,
Anyway,
we're moving on.
moving on.
Cloverfield 3 delayed. Okay.
I don't even know what to
Lamar is
expect of
producing. I don't either.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna go a completely different way. First one was found footage. Second was a
Sort of
thriller
suspense.
about okay.
Anyway.
Kendrick Lamar is producing and curating the Black Panther soundtrack.
I'm super
Heck
hyped
yeah.
about that. I'm gonna be getting that soundtrack. Moving on.
Walter Hamada. He is DC Movies president now.
Why did you switch into an accent for that? His name is Walter.
Because of the I am the captain now.
Okay.
Throwback. All right. He produced
I'm the president
It,
now.
Conjuring, and a bunch of garbage, mostly horror movies. Not
So-
the best track record, but does have a couple of really good ones under the belt.
He has a couple of good hits. They were all horror movies. I said this when Dallas told me about it. I was like, okay, we're gonna reboot it Justice League Dark, and DC's gonna be spooky for 5 years. That would be the best case scenario. Okay, next.
Hulu brings back Animaniacs for 2 seasons. Oh my god.
Did you not know about that?
No, I might have
Yeah.
to get a Hulu subscription.
I don't know who all is working on it. I don't know if it's the original writers, but I do know that I'm 90% sure it's the original voice actors, and it's not going to be a Powerpuff Girls reboot scenario where
Oh, thank God.
we got completely new people and tried to change it for the modern age. As far as I know, it is just going to continue where the last one left off. Not that there's any continuity, but it's going to be just like the original show was. It's going to be very satirical and very slapstick. So I'm excited
No
for
one
that.
is working on Rick and Morty season 4.
Yeah,
Which
no
means
one
Rick and
is
Morty
in
has less
quotes.
people working on it than Animaniacs.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. But the no one is in quotations because that was what I want to say Justin Roiland said. He's like, no one's working on it. Apparently, who is it? Is it Cartoon Network who's producing it, for Adult Swim, or is it another network? Pretty sure it's
do not
Adult
know
Swim.
off the top of my head.
Anyway, the people who were supposed to be in charge of managing and producing it, guys, Cartoon Network is in shambles right now. they straight up don't know what they're doing. They've gone stark raving mad. They might be moving Rick and Morty out so they can show more Teen Titans Go. But essentially, Rick and Morty seasons, which take a notoriously long amount of time to come out, no one's even working on season 4 right now. Apparently, work has not even begun. So it's probably going to be a long wait if it doesn't like move networks or get canceled in all of the confusion. This is very strange. Okay.
Hey, Tim.
News is done. So.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
What have you been playing, watching, reading, and listening to?
Okay, so what I've been playing, a lot of games online with David and Wesley, because there was a Steam Winter Sale where I got Lethal League, Skullgirls, Stick Fight the Game. Or those three, I've been playing those online with them, and then I've been playing a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom, just because I don't get it, but I like it. I like the game. It's ugly, but it's fun. I've been playing Fortnite with David, and Fortnite actually, okay, when you put the settings down to their lowest possible, you lock the frame rate at 30 frames, and you turn off all your other applications, Fortnite runs pretty good on a Mac. So
that's surprising.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out the crossplay. Apparently, there's a weird thing going on with Xbox to PC crossplay right now. So I switched over to the Mac, and it runs pretty well. Fortnite is a very fun game. I've been playing a lot of Gigantic with basically
me too.
Everyone but Dallas. Like, I've gotten back in touch with like Jordan and Patrick, and we're playing Gigantic. It's funny how I'm getting into dead games. Like, even Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, basically a dead game, and
how dead games support cross-platform.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Huh.
But I put in a little note. 2018 will be the first year since 2008 that I didn't just spend the whole year playing the new Call of Duty game, just because, man, I'm just not feeling it. No enthusiasm for it. I've been watching DBZ Kai. I'm trying to get caught up. It's a lot of episodes,
planning on starting back into that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up on Super, because what excites me about Super is that it's controversial and people can agree on it. So I'm like, ooh, I want to see what my opinion is. I want to see if I love it or hate it, because it is very much love or hate right now, apparently.
And do you love it and hate it? Love or hate it?
Well, I don't know yet. That's what I'm saying. I want to catch up to Super because I don't know. It's
all right.
No one agrees on it. And then the things I've been listening to, I added this segment just because I'm like, One
sec. My roommates are screaming.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Wesley was literally just outside the door screaming.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds correct.
Not screaming about anything or doing anything, just like going, ah.
That's just what he does. It's just his voice. But I wanted to add this listening section just because I don't know anything about music. I just know that I like it. And I've been listening to the Lethal League OST, which I rediscovered since 2014 when I really got into it. Rediscovered it. That game has a fantastic soundtrack. You also just check that out. And then that's all from me. How about you, Jan? I can see it on screen, but how about you?
I've been playing some Lethal League with mostly David and Wesley and Jordan, which I don't think we've ever had Jordan. Yeah, I've never heard Jordan. He's a friend of ours. He's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Gigantic, been playing a lot of that. A little Fortnite with you mostly, exclusively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exclusively.
About to start watching Dragon Ball Z Kai again, probably, as well as JoJo. I don't know. I'm gonna give JoJo priority.
Nice.
About to start reading The Book Thief because it was recommended by a friend.
Oh, okay. I've actually heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good. So I've got a copy of it sitting on my nightstand. Gonna crack open an old school book.
Oh my gosh! Imagine doing such a thing in the current year, 2018.
Or I'll just put it on my Kindle.
Hey, well, at least you'll start it.
It's a lot more
It won't suffer
convenient.
Deus Ex's fate.
What the heck?
What?
The pipes just started wailing. The people above me are showering or trying
They're
to
all
shove
showering
raccoons into their pipes
simultaneously.
or something. Because that just scared me. All right. I don't know if y'all will hear it, but it was unholy.
Okay, I'd like to clarify. We have a Google Doc that we go through when we're doing these, and in this segment, Jan has actually written for what he's been playing, watching, reading, listening. He wrote, writing the Bible for his new religion.
Yes, I'm deciding to become a Yanaholic.
He will consume only Jan from now on. Also, can we be looking forward to Jan Bucks becoming a thing?
Okay, so I was looking into how to make a cryptocurrency, and it turns out it's not that hard. So I'm probably going to mess around with that and see if I can make Jan Bucks.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jan Bucks will be an accepted form of currency to support this channel in the future. We will accept Jan Bucks. In fact,
Heck, if I make them, I'll hand them out to begin with at least.
Yeah, we may even start accepting those exclusively. It will become this channel's main currency. We'll have microtransactions with them. Who knows? Okay, so next week on the channel, this used to actually be very uncertain, so I didn't actually write down stuff that was actually going to be coming out, save for a couple things. But High Sierra, I updated the High Sierra finally because I was like, a bunch of my apps were crashing, and I'm like, all right, I've heard a lot of negative about High Sierra. It's basically the Windows 8 of the OS X, but no. I was like, I'll just bite the bullet and see what happens. Well, turns out it locked me off from Final Cut Pro 10 because my version of Final Cut Pro 10 is no longer supported on High Sierra, and I'd have to buy the brand new Final Cut Pro 10 version 4, I think, and it cost $300. And I don't got that many Jan Bucks on me, so I was like...
That's like 4 Jan Bucks.
I was like trying to go back to regular Sierra. It wasn't working. Apple removed the ability to go back to old Sierra. Like, you can go back to Mavericks or El Capitan, but you can't go back to Sierra. Convenient, now that I need to go back to it. But I finally found my new editing home in DaVinci Resolve, which is a free editing program that actually is like, people have agreed it has a better audio editing suite than Premiere and Final Cut Pro. So it turns out a free thing is actually pretty good compared to the really expensive ones. So
I really liked it. My only problem was it didn't have a lot of stuff on the Windows version. Yeah, as far as I could tell.
There are a lot of... Okay, so the good thing about DaVinci Resolve is I think because it is free, they're just able to let other people make plugins for it. And there's apparently a lot of plugins that you can also get for free that add features to DaVinci Resolve. And it actually imported all of my audio effects from Adobe Audition CS 5.5. Like, it just put them all in there. So, yeah, It's good, and it's free. I mean, if you're gonna be editing stuff, that's a great place to start. You don't have to pirate it. They're giving it away. And the paid version is $300, but I think it's the first time I've seen something be worth $300. Do you know what it does?
It has like professional grade color correction
and I think with like 6 people, it's called DaVinci Resolve Studio. You can have 6 people that can simultaneously be working on the exact same project.
Oh my god.
Like, I can see what changes you have made. I just open it, and it's like, this is what you've done. And you'd be like, hey, look at this. Yeah, that's incredible. And I think
we might have to get a copy.
That's worth $300.
Start saving up those Jan Bucks.
Yeah, save up those Jan Bucks. It'll eventually cost, Jan Bucks. $300. But what is going to be happening next week is we're going to have new episodes of Gears 3, which, I'm not going to lie, we were on in this recording session.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Make sure to tune in. I got to edit that real quick. Probably do that today.
Yeah. And then we're going to have a new Sibling Showdown next Sunday. Hopefully it's a Battle Royale, if I can, like a 4-person with all my sisters, if I can figure out how to get my Xbox controllers connected to my Mac, because we want to play Lethal League or something 4-player, but right now just my PS3 controllers work. But yeah, that's what's happening next week.
It's question time. Oh, you got something else?
I was going to say it's possible that we'll get some new Spyro New Beginning episodes, but that's kind of up in the air right now. Okay, so it's question time, which I still don't know what we're gonna call this. I had the idea for Absentee Ultimatum, but it sounds like there's too much to it. Like, it's too long, too much of a mouthful. But essentially, the host who isn't here, who is Dallas, puts a question on the Google Doc, and we read it. And then if it's a good question, we'll rate it from bronze to gold. And after we've all asked a question twice, we tally up the points, and one person gets to be canonically correct about one thing. So, for example, I could, in the official podcast canon, say, Christian Bale, third best Batman. And it would have to be, oh yes, correct. Yes, I agree. But, okay, I just went to his question. The first question, which isn't the real one, is, can you quack? Which I'm not going to explain. Some people might get that. But here's the actual question. With yearly Star Wars films being released, do you believe a fatigue will eventually set in for the audience, or is Star Wars always going to be fresh/welcome? That's a good question.
So, I'll go ahead, and I think I've got an idea of to what I want to say.
Okay.
So I think the fatigue might set in. At first I was thinking, nah, like Marvel, they've been doing this, and I'm still excited for all the new movies.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
But
Marvel's like more than once a year. It's like 2 or 3 times a year, and everyone's still excited for it.
Yeah, but Star Wars has one set of movies that follow like one long storyline, and then the little spin-offs, which so far the one spin-off has been good. Well, if we're not including like the Christmas special. And,
no, we're not.
But the Solo film,
Rogue One.
I haven't been hearing great things about it. So
Rogue One has been good. We're hearing kind of negative things about Solo. I think if they keep doing it every year and they're still good, then it'll always be, I don't know if fresh. I don't think it'll be fresh, but I think it'll always be welcome.
Yeah, I'm still going to see them. I'll probably enjoy them. I do not know if I'll get like as excited.
Yeah, we're seeing something
on.
happen for the first time where it's like Star Wars films, we had 2 eras. We had the original trilogy that came out in the 70s and 80s, and then we had the prequel trilogy that happened in the the early 2000s. And it was like those were our 2 eras, and we were no more Star Wars. And then when they announced this one, it was like, okay, we'll have a third era that's going to be 3 movies. Then they are announcing all of these spin-offs and stuff, and I remember thinking when they announced Rogue One, I was like, that's an unnecessary story that's just going to clutter things and make it just kind of a mess. But I ended up really liking Rogue One. Man, I don't know. That's a tough question.
I'm going to go with, I think fatigue might set in.
Yeah, I think Disney needs to be smart. I think Disney
Honestly,
needs... Yeah?
Sorry, but also because, not to spoil anything, but I don't see my favorite characters from the original trilogy being a large portion of future movies.
Yeah. Definitely not. That being said, I really did care about the main characters in Rogue One, and I am all in on Finn, Rey, and Poe. Those 3. I am really liking them. But their story supposedly ends at Episode 9, and Daisy Ridley says that she will be done with Star Wars after that. I think after 9, everyone will... I would hope people feel kind of satisfied after 9, and I hope Disney doesn't think that they just can just keep going with it. I actually... I think it's merciful, and it's a good idea that it's only once per year right now. And I think I personally would like to see it become less frequent if they do keep making stuff. Or,
it'd
I don't know,
a bigger treat.
They've already announced that Rian Johnson's going to do a 4th trilogy, and he's going to be doing it soon after. I think in order to keep people interested, they're going to have to do what Marvel did, and Guardians of the Galaxy was completely out of left field and went to a completely different place than the previous Marvel films. So Rian Johnson's going to have to do something, unexpected, but keep it within the same universe. I don't know, man. I hope that they don't just start, shoveling out crap. just because people will see it because it's Star Wars. So far, I think they've come out with one. I think they've come out with three great movies. Disney has. Solo might be the bad one. That's what a lot of people are saying, is that this is going to be the one that sucks.
But hey, they could correct. They could.
They could. They
fix up Solo.
They got some time, and
money.
Yeah, and then Episode 9 will be hitting us in 2019. And I don't know. I think they might be good up to Episode 9. Like, I think Episode 9 will be good. And then I got no idea what to expect. I think you've got the people who like the original trilogy only. You've got the people who will defend the prequel trilogy. And then you've got... I don't know. I don't know what this fandom looks like after Episode 9. But... I think I'd like to see it end, honestly, at some point. I don't want this to keep on going, because I think the more movies you release, it kind of cheapens it. I'd be fine with doing some TV series as some extra canon. And of course, I'd love to keep playing Star Wars games, but man, I think...
Right, shall we rate this?
Sure, yeah, I'm giving it a gold. That's a gold question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That was tough. I'm still not sure how I feel about it, but
I'll give you a gold too, Dallas. Good job. That was a good question.
The question here: do you believe fatigue will eventually set in? I will say yes. I do think the fatigue will eventually set in. Just like I think the fatigue will eventually set in for Marvel. So.
And to answer the other question, yes, I can quack.
I can quack. All right, that's all we got this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey, we were just over 1 hour, so we were pretty close.
Yeah, we're getting better.
I just realized like how much of that we had to just run through. But yeah, very news heavy week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time, where we will also talk about the PlayStation Network games of the month. Sorry that I keep forgetting about that. It just doesn't affect me.
I think most people do.
Yeah.
Don't forget to lick some as surprise. Check out our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Pocket Casts, anywhere you can get RSS feeds.
And if you like video games,
channel.
If you like watching people play video games, we got a whole lot of that on the channel.
We got a whole lot of that.
I just released a new episode of Hour 1, which I need to do more of those, but it was on Call of Duty Finest Hour. And I'm talking about, man, old World War II Call of Duty games were really good. It's not World War II, the new one, Call of Duty World War II, does not live up to it, and you can see why if you watch that episode.
All right, so check that out. Goodbye, everybody.